Chapter 2, The Terror and Delight. I thought it was all over, but is it just beginning? Feeling a mix of frustration and resignation, I gazed out the window, yearning for some semblance of safety and normalcy. And then I saw him. The most strikingly handsome man I had ever laid eyes upon, standing there, seemingly unaware of my presence. My breath caught in my throat as I studied his chiseled features, his magnetic presence captivating my attention. Conflicting emotions swirled within me. How could such beauty coexist with the fear and turmoil that had consumed me just moments ago? Was he a mere distraction or something more sinister? Doubt and curiosity battled within me as I continued to observe him, his enigmatic aura captivating my gaze. Though his appearance was beguiling, I couldn't shake the lingering unease that clung to me. In a world suddenly devoid of safety and trust, I couldn't help but wonder if there was more to this encounter than met the eye. Standing there, bathed in the soft glow of the sunlight, the young man exuded an aura of innocence and beauty. His features were sculpted with an ethereal grace, his eyes twinkling like stars in the night sky. Each line of his face seemed to tell a story of warmth and kindness, inviting trust and admiration. His smile, radiant and captivating. But as I gazed upon this captivating figure, a flicker of concern mingled with my awe. The memory of the chilling encounter with the previous man lingered in my mind like a haunting specter. What if the darkness that had pursued me before found its way to this beautiful soul? What if harm befell him at the hands of that malevolent presence? A surge of protectiveness coursed through me, mingling with my own fear and uncertainty. The thought of this radiant being falling victim to the same horrors that had plagued my own existence sent shivers down my spine. I yearned to warn him, to shield him from the darkness that lurked in the shadows. As conflicting emotions warred within me, I observed him from the safety of my window, a mix of admiration and apprehension playing out in my heart. His innocence and beauty were undeniable, yet the invisible threat that had tainted my world raised cautionary flags. I couldn't help but wonder if the mere presence of this alluring man would draw danger towards him, like a moth to a flame. Hope mingled with trepidation as I fervently prayed that the horrors of the past would remain at bay, and that this beautiful stranger would be spared from the darkness that had haunted my existence. The sight of the man standing there, engrossed in his phone, oblivious to the lurking dangers, stirred a mix of concern and bewilderment within me. How could he appear so carefree and unaware of the potential threats that surrounded us? Was he simply waiting for a friend to pick him up, or was he unaware of the darkness that loomed in the shadows? Anxiety prickled at my senses as I watched him, his nonchalant demeanor contrasting sharply with the heightened state of alertness I had adopted. Didn't he know that the world could be a treacherous place, that danger could strike at any moment? It was as if he existed in a different realm, untouched by the haunting experiences that had tainted my own perception of safety. A mixture of frustration and worry welled up within me. How could he be so oblivious, so unguarded? Didn't he realize that a single moment of vulnerability could invite calamity? I longed to warn him, to urge him to be cautious, to share the weight of my own apprehension. But in that moment, as I watched him in the distance, I realized that his innocence and carefree nature were a stark reminder of what had been just stolen from me. The ability to exist without constant fear, to trust in the world around me, had been shattered by the haunting encounter that had sent me running for safety. A wave of sadness washed over me, mingling with the ever-present unease that lingered within. I wished that I could return to a time when innocence and naivety were my companions, when the world seemed less sinister and filled with hidden dangers. But as I stared at the man, I couldn't help but wonder if his ignorance of the lurking threat would soon be shattered, just as mine had been. An inexplicable urge compelled me to step out of the safety of my house and approach the young man. His youth, evident in his appearance, made me wonder if he was around my age, but doubts and insecurities crept into my mind. Would he find me too young, too inexperienced? Did he already have someone special in his life? Nevertheless, a deep-rooted desire to protect him from the lurking danger pushed me forward. I wanted to warn him, to share the burden of knowledge that weighed heavily upon me. With cautious steps, I made my way closer, my heart pounding in my chest. As I approached, my footsteps echoing in the silence, a mix of anticipation and anxiety coursed through me. What if he brushed off my concerns? What if he laughed at my fears? But the need to ensure his safety outweighed my own trepidation. Summoning my courage, I called out softly, "Hey, what are you doing?" His eyes briefly flickered towards me, but his response was a simple,
"Nothing."
Though his answer lacked substance, there was an undeniable charm in his nonchalant demeanor. It was as if his innocence and carefree nature cast a captivating spell, drawing me in despite the unease that had gripped me earlier. His response, though seemingly insignificant, held a certain allure that made my heart flutter. "Nothing."
"No, I'm waiting for my ride."
His eyes, as I observed them up close, held a mesmerizing quality that left me both enchanted and unnerved. There was an unmistakable depth in their gaze, an enigmatic combination of innocence and an underlying intensity that sent shivers down my spine. It was as if within those captivating orbs, a duality of light and darkness coexisted. Compelled by a strange mixture of fascination and trepidation, I found myself drawn to those striking eyes. In an attempt to convey my admiration, I blurted out, "I love your eyes."
"Thanks. Hey, I like your eyes too."
His unexpected response, acknowledging my eyes in return, momentarily made me forget everything that happened prior to this encounter. A wave of unease then washed over me again, tinged with a sense of impending danger that seemed to suffocate the air around us. I felt a lump forming in my throat, rendering me speechless and frozen in place.
"Well, here's my ride. Gotta go. See ya."
As his ride arrived to whisk him away, I found myself transfixed by his departure, unable to tear my gaze away. A potent mixture of desire and intrigue coursed through my veins, rendering me powerless to utter even a single word. A surge of emotions consumed me, amplifying the intensity of my attraction. It was as if an invisible force held me captive, locking away my voice and leaving me in a state of helpless fascination. The magnetic pull between us seemed to defy rationality, leaving me breathless and unable to articulate the thoughts racing through my mind. As he vanished into the distance, my heart pounded relentlessly, a silent symphony of longing and regret. I cursed my own inability to break free from the spell his presence had cast upon me. It was as if the world around me had faded into insignificance, leaving only the lingering image of his enchanting allure imprinted upon my soul. As I retreated back inside the safety of my home, the unsettling encounter with the creepy man from before seemed to fade into the recesses of my mind. I decided to take a nap, but not before making sure every door and window was locked. I had the most amazing dream. In the dream, the man from earlier appeared, captivating and irresistible. We shared a profound connection, lost in a world of enchantment and desire. Time stood still as our hearts intertwined, painting a picture of infinite possibilities. The dream was a fleeting moment of bliss, a sweet escape from the confines of reality. Confusion and longing wrestled within me as I navigated the paradoxical realm of this fantastical dream. The allure of its enchantment beckoned me to surrender to its embrace, tempting me with the promise of eternal bliss. Yet, a nagging realization tugged at the corners of my consciousness, reminding me that this ethereal realm existed only within the confines of my imagination. Yearning to prolong this surreal experience, I grappled with the juxtaposition of feeling awake yet immersed in the unreality of a dream. It was a delicate dance between longing and acceptance, where the boundaries of possibility blurred and the realm of the mind held sway over my emotions. How can I be conscious and be in this dream world with this man? What is happening? Dread gripped me as I heard the haunting sound of my name echoing in the air.
"Aya."
It wasn't a mere figment of my dream. It was a chilling reality unfolding before my eyes. Startled, I forced my eyes open, only to be confronted by the very embodiment of fear. Standing before me was the same creepy man who had pursued me earlier, his presence sending shivers down my spine. A horrifying stillness settled over the man's expressionless face as he repeated my name with an eerie detachment. There was a chilling emptiness in his gaze, as if he were devoid of any human emotion. Panic surged through me as he lunged forward and grabbed me, his grip tightening around me with an inhuman strength. I screamed desperately, fighting with every ounce of my being, but my efforts were futile against his overpowering force. He dragged me mercilessly, my pleas for help echoing into the night, but there was no one to hear, no one to rescue me from this nightmarish ordeal. Questions raced through my mind, wondering if this was a meticulously planned act, if my life was to meet its end at the hands of this emotionless predator. As I continued to kick and scream, a sickening realization settled in. This man, devoid of fear of being caught, knew that no salvation awaited me. A wave of terror washed over me as the man revealed a knife, his ominous words punctuating the chilling air. The threat of death hung heavy in his declaration, commanding my compliance while assuring me that everything would be fine. Bewilderment mingled with fear as I struggled to make sense of his contradicting statements. Was this some twisted prank? Questions raced through my mind, but I dared not voice them, the tape forcefully sealing my mouth shut. Helpless and bound, my hands and feet secured tightly, I could only ponder the dark intentions lurking behind his seemingly paradoxical assurances. Trapped in the confines of the van, uncertainty gripped me as I pondered my grim fate. The drive felt unnervingly tranquil, the silence amplifying the weight of my thoughts. Alone in the back, I replayed my life, each misstep and regret magnified in the face of impending danger. Desperation consumed me as I grappled with the haunting question, what was to become of me? Fear mingled with a flicker of hope, as I searched for a way to escape this nightmare, my mind racing with possibilities, however slim. The future seemed ominously uncertain, and the weight of my circumstances pressed upon me, leaving me with a haunting question. What was I going to do, and what awaited me at the end of this harrowing journey? The sudden halt of the van jolted me from my thoughts, leaving me disoriented and filled with apprehension. As the door swung open, I surveyed my surroundings with a growing sense of dread. The place seemed strangely familiar, and then it struck me with chilling clarity. This was the vicinity where the notorious serial killer had claimed his victims, a place stained with unspeakable horror. 30 victims. Panic surged through me as the realization settled in. I had been brought here, to the hunting ground of a merciless predator responsible for the lives of countless innocent souls. I'm going to be 31. The weight of my impending fate pressed upon me, the cruel irony of becoming victim number 31. In the shadow of this grim reality, I grappled with the terrifying notion that my life was destined to end in this desolate place, just like those who had come before me. With an iron grip, the man yanked me out of the van, his force overpowering my feeble resistance. Each agonizing step dragged me through the unforgiving grass, my heart pounding with terror. The secluded surroundings, resembling a dense forest, heightened my despair as I realized the absence of any potential saviors. Hope dwindled to a mere flicker as I contemplated my imminent fate. But then, like a sudden reprieve, a sharp thud echoed through the air, followed by a gasp from my captor followed by a loud and vibrating thump. The dragging ceased, and I dared to believe that a glimmer of salvation had emerged. Uncertainty gripped me, teetering between relief and trepidation, as I anxiously awaited the unfolding of this unexpected turn of events. As I glanced up, my eyes widened in disbelief. There, standing before me, was the very same beautiful man who had captivated my attention earlier. Time seemed to freeze as our eyes locked, a mixture of astonishment and relief flooding over me. In that moment, it became clear that he had intervened, saving me from the clutches of my tormentor. The contrast between the two men could not have been more stark, the one who had instilled fear and despair versus the one who now embodied strength and protection. Gratitude and curiosity swirled within me, as I wondered about the connection between these two enigmatic figures. The beautiful man swiftly untangled the bindings that restrained me, urgency etched into every movement. His commanding voice pierced through the chaos, urging me to cover my eyes. Uncertainty mingled with curiosity as I stole a glance at the scene unfolding before me. The creepy man, once towering and menacing, now struggled to regain his footing, his features contorted with fear. I couldn't fathom how the beautiful man, seemingly smaller in stature, had overpowered his formidable opponent. As the beautiful man turned, he concealed his face behind a mask, and a surge of both trepidation and fascination coursed through my veins. The atmosphere crackled with tension as the confrontation escalated. The creepy man's desperate pleas for help and mercy fell on deaf ears, drowned out by the terrifying onslaught that ensued. I stood frozen, unable to tear my eyes away from the brutal spectacle unfolding before me. It was as if I was witnessing a primal battle, untamed and savage, like something out of a nature documentary. Though instructed to shield my vision from the unfolding violence, I found myself irresistibly drawn to the clash of forces before me. Every bone-crushing blow, every anguished cry, etched itself into my consciousness. The beautiful man exuded an air of relentless power, dismantling the creepy man with an otherworldly skill and precision. It was both horrifying and mesmerizing, an unsettling display of dominance that defied all logic. In that surreal moment, I wrestled with conflicting emotions, terror and fascination intertwining like an inescapable vortex. What dark depths lay within this beautiful man? And what did his ferocious actions mean for my own uncertain fate? As the violent encounter continued to unfold, I found myself helplessly entangled in a sinister dance of fate and consequence, my path irrevocably entwined with that of this enigmatic savior. The lifeless body of the creepy man lay sprawled on the ground, a macabre testament to the power of the beautiful, powerful man standing before me. As he removed his mask and discarded his blood-stained clothing, revealing a physique both mesmerizing and terrifying, an unusual feeling washed over me. Instead of fear, a twisted fascination took hold, drawing me deeper into the abyss of his darkness. His eyes, once filled with a chilling intensity, met mine with an unsettling allure. A wicked smile played upon his lips, sending a shiver of twisted delight down my spine. The realization hit me like a bolt of electricity. This beautiful man, the one who had just dispatched his prey with such effortless precision, was none other than the notorious serial killer, his hands stained with the blood of countless victims. But that's impossible, right? My mind wouldn't allow me to believe this. In the face of this revelation, rather than terror, a perverse attraction welled within me. It was as if I had unwittingly stumbled upon the embodiment of my darkest desires, a seductive force that called to the hidden recesses of my soul. The incongruity of the situation, the collision of horror and fascination, left me spellbound. His movements, graceful and deliberate, betrayed a sense of practiced artistry. He extinguished this creepy man's life as if it was a performance, an exquisite dance of death that captured my imagination. As I stood there, trembling with a mixture of fear and desire, I couldn't help but be drawn further into his intoxicating web. I still couldn't believe this man could be the serial killer. My mind would not allow me to believe this. Questions swirled within me, fueled by a twisted curiosity. What motivated him to commit such heinous acts? How did he elude capture for so long, leaving a trail of broken lives in his wake? The enigma of his existence only heightened my captivation, and I found myself yearning to delve deeper into the depths of his depravity. As the beautiful man stood before me, a figure both seductive and dangerous, I knew that escape was no longer an option. I had become ensnared in his twisted game, an unwitting participant in a sinister ballet. In the face of impending doom, an unsettling sense of liberation washed over me, a realization that I was no longer bound by the constraints of societal norms and expectations that had confined me previously. With a mixture of fear and anticipation, I succumbed to the allure of the beautiful killer. In his presence, I found a twisted liberation, a release from the mundane monotony of life. As I willingly stepped into the abyss of his world, my fate intertwined with his, I couldn't help but embrace the darkness that beckoned from within.
Okay, so you're number 32?
Shut up. You aren't the serial killer.
I like you. What's your name?
What's your name?
Masood, but let's keep that between us.
Amidst the grisly aftermath, an uncanny confidence surged within me. The beautiful man, drenched in darkness, evoked a strange sense of safety. In his gaze, I saw a reflection of my own strength, defying reason. Why is that?
Well, let it be our little secret, Aya. Anyway, let's get out of here before someone sees us.
I noticed the gloves he wore and the markings on the mask he tossed on the ground. He's the serial killer for sure. I didn't feel afraid, but rather, this piqued my curiosity. There was something captivating about his dark persona, and a strange sense of safety enveloped me in his presence. It was as if I had stumbled upon a forbidden secret, and I couldn't help but be drawn further into the enigma that surrounded him.
Were you really afraid of that disgusting fat turd?
What?
I saw your face. You were afraid. Aya the crier.
As he mockingly taunted me, I felt an unexpected surge of strength within. His words fueled an ever-growing attraction. The desire to match his teasing with my own playful banter became irresistible, as though we were dancing a dangerous tango of wit and intrigue. I could retort with nothing other than, "Shut up."
Okay, let's go. I'm getting hungry.